Yeah, what's up? We're live. This will be the last stream for about 2 weeks. Playing. Is that another LSE track? Oh yeah, Solid State Scout. This one's a banger as well, but don't. Well, he would let me play it, but we're not gonna. Yeah, vacation. Yeah, I haven't heard it in a long time, but I'll be on a vacation. Which is fortunate for me, I guess. But yeah, there's a couple of different topics I did want to discuss. As you can see here, been busy in the lab, getting on with lots of videos. I want to see actually how many have I done today. I did like 3. Oh, I did loads. What? 1, 2. I did like 6. That's nice. It's good stuff. That. So yeah, I've got to work on some more because I need content for when I'm actually gone as well. But yeah. But overall, it's looking pretty good. Jeez, Big Phil renewing his subscription. You'll have to see it. Sorry. It's alright, man. It happens. It happens. Just, yeah, I need some time off from the day job as well, so gladly have some time off. Just so much going on. So should we give it a couple minutes? Give it about a minute or two, see if we can get some more people in. See what's going on. Try to see if there's anything the latest I can bring up on Twitter. Her dog is vegetarian, gets proven wrong. Lol. Some people are weird, like thinking animals that are like omnivores or majority carnivore, like you can change them. Like, no. Rachel Reeves saying, "My mum showed me how to balance the books at the kitchen table." It's like, your mum sounds incredibly boring, Rachel. Incredibly boring. Let's try to see if there's anything. Apparently, the post office boss, Nick Reed, repeatedly threatened to quit unless he was paid £1 million. What the hell is going on with the post office? Robot Reeves, get its name. I don't know. She has got the Karen haircut, but I feel like, is that a bit of a slur? I don't know. But she's just, it's just boring, isn't it? Like, it's just George Osborne, The Return, or Philip Hammond. Is it Philip Hammond? Was he the former Chancellor? I thought Philip Hammond was the guy from Top Gear, unless they have the same name. But yeah, Hammond, the former Chancellor. It's just that again, like, but the Labour version of it, which is kind of boring. But yeah, aside from that, there's not much really going on. The wife of MP Andrew Bridgen claims her husband has been radicalised and captured by an anti-vax cult. She claims she and her son were left homeless and living off benefits after the sect took him over and destroyed their marriage. Oh. That's something. So yeah, apparently Bridgen is do you have Lucas cornering Lammy? Do you know what? I don't. I wish I did. I know Thingy covered it. NJ covered it. I wish I had that clip, but I couldn't find it on Twitter, and I couldn't be asked to scrub through the whole of the question time episode for it. Oh no, Rachel Reeves getting absolutely rinsed. Oh no, you hate to see it. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Caroline Lucas made him look real stupid, and she kept flipping the question on him, which was great. Stuart Lee doing his bit about Top Gear. Is it Hammond? What's his name? What was the Chancellor? Who was it? Theresa. Who was the Chancellor? Okay, his name. It was Philip Hammond. So who is? But isn't he from Top Gear? Oh, he's Richard Hammond. Oh. Okay. Richard, yes, that's it. Oh, okay. No, I've got it now. It's Richard Hammond. He's the one from Top Gear. Philip Hammond is the Chancellor. Yeah, just tragic. Oh, it's how you get engagement. You get things wrong, then people come in and try and correct you. Putin getting roasted in Russia, which is quite cool. You love to see it. Yeah, I don't see a ton going on to it. Let's see what's trending actually. Normally it's football stuff. Yeah, it's mostly football stuff. All right. Oh, Sean Dyche is trending. That's not good. There's also a joke about him sounding like he's eating like a bag full of gravel or something like that. It just makes me laugh. Is there anything interesting? Philip Hammond looks like a Tesco value Darth. I feel like that's a malicious intent. And on that bombshell, let's go on to the actual topics. And yeah, so I found this clip from Who's Your Team. We don't talk about my team. My team is washed. My team is washed. We don't discuss my team. My team's absolute trash. Are you doing the BBC interview with Secretary to the Treasury? No, I don't have that one. Most stuff I have is normally old anyways. But normally you see good stuff on Twitter, but like I found very little to really that's recent, that's worth really covering. Apart from this stuff, right, which is hilarious. This Rachel Reeves picture. Oh yeah, Google Chrome being trash again. I don't know why she chose that one as the thing. Weird pick. But there's not much else. Let's see, what's this? Rishi Sunak's 1930s Berlin moment. What the hell does that? Oh, okay, about authoritarianism. Oh no, it's what's his name? Sam Coates getting absolutely rinsed. Oh, that's really funny. That's a great Simpsons meme. That. Not much else here, to be honest. Yeah, we'll leave the Twitter stuff. Not much going on. Had tickets for Jonathan Pye tonight, but couldn't be bothered to. Oh, that's a bit weird. Yeah, the Gravel Munch fan club. That's what he does. Have you seen Robot Reeves answer a question? That's a good question. That's a good question. That's one I would happily ask her but she'd probably avoid it. But let's get to topics. Apologies for the later stream today as well. End up procrastinating most of the day, which is not great, to be honest. But yeah, can't remember what I was doing. Boomer Yu-Gi-Oh is back though, so that's fun. Maybe I'll stream that at the end of this stream, and really make the audience disappear. But yeah, let's have a listen to some topics then.
The Conservatives are not prepared to acknowledge the problem that's in
Let me know if there's any audio issues as well.
front of them, then I don't see how action can follow from that. The first step in dealing with the problem is to acknowledge that there is a problem. If they're not prepared to accept that what Lee Anderson said is racist and Islamophobic, then that's pretty serious.
Do you not acknowledge, though, what the Prime Minister is saying, given that his ethnicity, it proves that the government isn't Islamophobic?
And this is where like Kay Burley's statement makes no sense. If you look here, right?
The Minister is saying, given that his ethnicity, it proves that the government isn't Islamophobic.
Who's arguing Rishi Sunak's ethnicity? Like Rishi Sunak is Indian and his religion he's Hindu. How does that have anything to do with the Tory party being Islamophobic? A genuine question.
His ethnicity.
Pretty serious.
Do you not acknowledge, though, what the Prime Minister is saying, given that his ethnicity, it proves that the government isn't Islamophobic?
And you know, Kay Burley, sometimes she does really good work, and we'll actually, in this video, we'll actually discuss it a little bit. But, yeah, that's true, actually. His ethnicity did play a part in him losing to Liz the Lettuce, slain by Lettuce. But what is this? Like, what does that have anything to do with it? You know, if someone like Theresa May or Liz Truss, you know, said, "Oh, the Tory party doesn't have a problem with sexism," would you make the argument? Well, given Liz Truss's gender, would you argue that the Tory party doesn't have a problem with sexism? Like, genuinely brain dead take from Kay Burley. It's just so dumb. It's unreal how silly this statement is. Kay Burley is awful, so perfect for Sky. Do you know what? I don't think Sky have the worst broadcast team. They've got Sam Coates, who's okay. I can't remember what the other dude's name is, but he does number stuff. He's okay. They've got Ridge, who's actually good. They've got the guy who he's one of my most popular videos, Neil something. He's quite good. I think Beth Rigby's pretty washed. Kate Burley's definitely washed. I can't remember the other ones, but yeah, a lot of them are washed, but some of them are quite good. Don't like or trust Labour, so I'm a Tory enabler. Is that your... Are we doing this again? If Lee Anderson had said what he said about a Jewish politician, he had been hung up. Yes, that is true. Yeah, that is true, yeah. Burley is not very bright. True. Who's arguing about Tory enablers? Can we not do this again? But if we use Google, we find out Sunak is Hindu. So what does that have to do with the Tory party being Islamophobic or not? It doesn't make sense. And when you look at it in the context of, Sunak kind of pouring kind of more fuel onto the fact around kind of the problems we have in Britain, you notice one specific thing. Whenever Sunak had to choose an example of extremism, he went with Palestinian peace marches rather than some of the hate peddlers on his own bench. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? If he wasn't Islamophobic, if the Tory party had no problem with Islamophobia, why would he target the people who are pro-Palestinian marches? Why would Blood do that? See, it makes no sense. This thing, YouTube is so stupid. They put like a thing right in the way of the comments. I don't know how to get rid of it. No, it stays there permanently. It's got the emote things on it, like all of this nonsense, but it means I can't actually read. I miss out the last words of like the new comments. Makes no sense. I mean, yeah, it's for one of the top. She's been doing this for a long time now. She's been doing this for a long time, and to make such a dumb statement on one of the biggest channels, news channels in the UK, is an unreal amount of stupidity. I'll be honest, very very silly. I did want to discuss Shabima Begum. Someone did actually kind of tell me that I should really be covering more stuff like this, and he was not wrong. It was ignorant. I think it was like, oh well, he's brown. How could he have a problem with other brown people? So Shamima Begum, the British national who travelled to Syria as a schoolgirl to join ISIL, has lost her latest appeal to regain citizenship, stripped by the United Kingdom. The court said it could be argued that the decision to strip the 24-year-old of her citizenship may be harsh, but it could be argued that Begum is the author of her own misfortune. But all criminals, or the majority of criminals, are the authors of their own misfortune. It's how the courts deal with them. That's what your job is. So to say, oh, it might be harsh, but you're your own worst enemy, is not a smart take from the courts. So it's okay to say Islamists in defence of Islamophobia. That's what the... It's okay to say that stuff, but it's not okay to target specific people with that accusation. And that's the difference between what Braverman did and what Lee Anderson did. Lee Anderson specifically mentioned Sadiq Khan. Braverman didn't. But, they said that the court said our only task is to assess if the deprivation decision was unlawful. We have concluded it was not. And so effectively what they have done is made her stateless. 2 months ago, the term Islamist wasn't used. It's been used for the last decade, mate. Honestly, it's been used by Tommy Robinson for about 10 years. Yeah, someone did mention there was a case like this in Ireland, I think. And so when we look at her Dutch husband, right, he also joined ISIS. He should be on the hook for more crimes, I think, because it's more likely he's committed them. Especially because he married a minor. Speaking to the BBC, he admitted fighting for the group, but says he wants to return home. Now, he's facing a 6-year jail term for joining a terror organisation if he returns to the Netherlands. This article is from 2019, but, he's being allowed to return to the Netherlands to face up to some of the crimes he has done. So like this is the right take, which is he should face a longer jail term in my opinion. But that's something for the Dutch Parliament or whatever to figure out. And I mean, Phil, well, we'll just vote. Okay, someone's speaking a weird version of English or Latin in the chat. But this is the right take from the Netherlands, in my opinion. So what happened? It was the special immigration appeals commission argued that she was a victim, or potentially she was a victim. Where's it gone? They ruled that while there was credible suspicion that Begum was a victim of trafficking exploitation, that did not stand in the way of the Home Secretary stripping her citizenship at the time. The decision was upheld at the Court of Appeal. So even though that this group here that actually deals with this kind of stuff argued that potentially she was a victim, they still took her citizenship away. Like for whatever crime she has committed, she should face punishment here and potentially abroad if she's committed any crimes abroad. So should the other dude. What's his name? Yago Rajak or whatever. I don't know how the hell to pronounce it. That is not a Muslim name, as far as I'm aware. Like that is not Arabic. I think that's like Nordic. But yeah, he should absolutely face crimes here. They should both absolutely face crimes in their respective areas. What is going on in the chat here? Who's Alex Chapman? Oh, are we doing this again? She should absolutely face crimes. I think that's a name from the Balkans. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Who is Alex Chapman to? So have I missed something? Has the moderator stepped in? That's the real question. But I can't see the... Yeah, am I missing something? Oh well. Did the moderator do something? I don't know. She was 15, wasn't she? At the time she was, yeah. She's 24 now, which kind of shows the length of time this has gone on, to be honest. But she was around 15 at the time. They argue she was a victim. It seems to be a Dutch name. Okay, that makes sense as well. Yeah, that would make sense. Given that he's of I think he's from the Netherlands. Mod doesn't need to do anything. No, more Scottish. My point is the court is as bad as Her Majesty's government. It's again international law. Yes, it is. I'm just leading with that now. So doing so would make them stateless, which is illegal. So should the government, here it is, from YouGov, should the government be able to make British citizens stateless? And you got to remember, they could do this to anyone. They could genuinely do this to anyone. Because the argument was that she would have Bangladeshi citizenship, which is absolutely untrue. And we'll discuss that in a second. So Britons are split over whether the government should be allowed to deprive someone like Shamima Begum of citizenship, but not when it comes to Shamima herself. I think it's a completely brain-dead take, because this could happen to anyone. So this is the bit here. So Miss Begum was 19. She was a citizen of Bangladesh, but only in the most technical sense. She had provisional citizenship until she was 21, which I think everyone of Bangladeshi heritage has who live abroad. When it would lapse unless she took it up. This was because her parents were born there. But she has never been to Bangladesh. She has no links with the country, and Bangladesh has disowned her, because it's up to Bangladesh whether they want to take her or not. Her citizenship was always a legal fiction. Today it is not even that. She's 23 as a result of the Home Secretary's decision. She is stuck in a camp in Syria with no citizenship anywhere and no prospect of one. Children who make a terrible mistake are surely redeemable, but statelessness is forever. Which again, I think she should face punishment for what she has done. But to make someone stateless is abhorrent. People seem to be a bit vague on how rights and laws are supposed to work. It's all fun and games until they take your rights away. That's how the game is. It's freedom of speech until they say something you disagree with. Yeah, she was a child who was groomed. Yeah, that is true. Bangladeshi law entitles her to citizenship, but they reside. Yes, that is true. Yeah, and they said they were up front. And said we ain't taking her. Like, she's got nothing to do with us. And it's embarrassing for a country like the UK where she was partially radicalised here. That's where the process started, and for us to say she's not our problem anymore, good luck Bangladesh, is a completely stupid and silly take. Courts decide that the government didn't have the right to remove citizenship in a republic here in Ireland, right? And that to me is the right take, especially when you're making that person stateless. It genuinely makes no sense. I don't get it. I don't get it, guys. This stuff makes no sense. That's the topic I want to discuss. I've already covered it in the video. Some of this stuff I'm not going to do specific videos on. What the hell? What is going on? What are people clicking on? Hunt considers taking the non-dom tax. So Jeremy Hunt is considering scrapping Britain's non-domiciled tax, also called the non-dom tax. It has been reported in a move that would seem poach one of Labour's key fiscal policies, which is true. They had the non-dom tax and then getting rid of a tax loophole on private schools. The fact that she's not even been allowed to put that fact forward in her defence is astonishing. What about her child? I think they're in a refugee camp. I think she had a few of her children die as well. In those camps, because there's no place, you can't live there long term. Even short term, it's ropey. Really, it should be there for a few days as they're trying to process you out. That is also true. Yeah, a child didn't commit any crime. So about the non-dom tax, unless you guys want to discuss her story more, is there anything else you guys want to say on that before I move on? Okay. About the non-dom tax. If there's any more comments going back to it, I'll go back to it. It was announced. Let's see. Yeah, they got rid of her citizenship by birth, I think. Yeah. Abolishing the non-dom tax would raise £3.6 billion a year. Treasury sources told various newspapers that Hunt was mulling over scrapping or scaling back the tax break as among a long. He's kind of stuck because they're trying to push. They are currently giving non-doms 3.6. No, they're not paying £3.6 billion worth of tax. That's what's going on. So they've done reforms before, back in 2017, restricted benefits of those who were born in the UK or had been here for 15 plus years. Under the current rules, non-doms residents in Britain can earn money from capital abroad without paying UK tax, which I think is dumb. I guess the argument is they've been taxed wherever they are, but that money could be made in tax havens and stuff. And why should they be able to benefit from our kind of services when they haven't paid into it? Not properly. Here we go. However, the party is also considering new regimes for temporary residents. One option under consideration is for individuals to be able to live as non-doms in the UK for 4 years before they pay full tax. I reckon what they're going to do is the same thing as the windfall tax. They're going to do a non-dom tax in name only. So it's going to affect some of them, but not all of them. And they're going to argue, oh, see, we took this policy, and we actually implemented it, and the same thing they did with the windfall tax. That is true. She could have donated to the Tory party, but she clearly was not playing the long game. I want to cover this clip from Sadiq Khan talking about Lee Anderson.
I think it starts from the top. The top's got to provide leadership, and Sunak is weak. He's weak. Sunak's weak. Look,
what's he frightened of?
Well, because of the double standards. If Sunak did the right thing and called out this man for what he said and what it is, then it begs the question: what about Braverman? Begs the question: what about other members of the Conservative Party? And he's a weak leader, and I'm afraid for the next few weeks and months we'll have more of this. And here's the problem: the consequences of that is it normalises hatred against Muslims.
Is it as simple as that? If they were to put a name on what Lee Anderson has done, it would apply equally to Suella Braverman and others?
Well, I mean, it's for... Look.
Well, let me read you what she said. The truth is that the Islamists, the extremists and the anti-Semites are in charge now. They have bullied the Labour Party, they have bullied our institutions, and now they have bullied our country into submission. Is that... I don't want to play top trumps on such a serious issue, but to you, is that worse than what Lee Anderson said?
According to Anderson, yes, because here's the if you you don't need to do this, but I'll explain to you what happened. But if you watch the actual interview that this man gave, he was saying actually Braverman went too far because it's not this. I'm paraphrasing. The Islamists aren't controlling the country; but they are London. Now, would he have said that if my faith was other than Islam? Would he have said that if my skin was other than the colour that my skin is? And here's the issue. And now there's all sorts of deflection. And by the way, James, every month I come and I can have a discussion debate about policing, about the NHS, about housing, about the ULEZ, about air quality. That's a discussion on my policies.
That's, it's true. Like, if Sadiq Khan, if that wasn't his name, if it was like Sam, I don't know what an English name is beginning with K. So if you know any, like, post it in comments. But if his name was like Sam something else, he wouldn't have. Tell me you have. No, I don't. But it was pretty funny. Don't like Galloway, but few politicians can handle. Yeah, it's because he's actually good at speaking and deflection, and so that's what he's very good at. So that I don't have it, but I have seen the clip you're talking about. It's pretty good. So yeah, I mean, Sam Coates kind of. I don't know. People got real mad about it. I don't think it was that bad, to be honest. I don't think it was that bad. But yeah, I think because of what's his face making it personal and mentioning him by name, I think that's what led him into the problems. New Salvation poll: SNP 38 points, Labour 33, Conservatives. Another poll showing the SNP widening the gap. We won't take a single vote for granted. Blah blah blah. So the SNP actually doing good in the polls, or they're doing better in Scotland. Let's see. So yeah, I think that's the main problem, and we there's more stuff. Braverman, kind of moaning about how many visas and stuff there are, how many visas were given, asylum approvals record high, work and student visa numbers, including many dependents, are appalling. And so the question is, who was in charge when all this happened, and who had control over this? Wait until we're all trying to find out the guy who did this when it was Braverman. Like, imagine being so silly, right? You do all of this stuff, right? And then you do all of this, and then you're mad at the person who allowed it to happen when it was you. After Anderson kept offering people a fight, I messaged him, still waiting for a response. I've never had a fight in my life, but I'm willing to make exceptions. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to accept that. He wants to fight, what's his face? Steve Bray, because he thinks he can beat Steve Bray. I mean, Anderson's a moron. Labour don't need Scottish votes to win, and Anna Sawar diverges from Labour orders anyways. Yeah, I think Starmer doesn't have a ton of control over Sawar, at least over this specific issue anyways. Who's being insulted here? What is going on here? Oh, he's talking about Anderson. So yeah, Braveman kind of embarrassing herself again. I found this video quite interesting actually, about people's opinions on the Reform Party. I'm just going to actually spin these two round so it makes a bit more sense.
Well, yesterday we launched our...
Yeah, Lindsay Hoyle's... What he did was so scummy, and we're going to talk about that towards the end of the video. I've got some tabs up here for that.
Voters panel, there they are, a project with pollsters YouGov, where we get the views of people who voted Conservative in the last election, that's 2019, and we've gone back to them straight away to try and get their verdict on the party that is getting an increased profile in recent months. That's Reform UK. Well, our Deputy Political Editor, Sam Coates, is with us. What are they saying about Reform?
Well, it was fascinating yesterday, Sophie, because quite clearly one of the parties that does generate a lot of comment in this group, Tory 2019 voters, is Reform. And one of the things that you hear is when voters talk about both the Conservatives and the Labour Party, there's a slightly indistinct feel. What do they stand for? Who are the leaders about? But when it comes to Reform, whether they love them or whether they loathe them, there are very clear views about what they stand for.
I don't think... Have Reform actually been clear about what they stand for? Apart from, zero net immigration. What does the Reform Party actually stand for? Because I hear very little from them or about them. We'll be turning into Starmer's appearance in front of a committee on hijacking SNP. Is that going to happen? If that happens, then yeah, I'll be there no matter what. But I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I know he's been referred. Was it been referred? Where is it? He could face a privileges committee investigation, but I don't know if that's true. Okay. I don't know if it's going to happen.
They mean where they're going, and even a sort of sense of kind of something bigger there. Now, the hope in Conservative headquarters that are extremely worried about reform draining away the Tory votes. The hope is that if they can tell these often right-leaning voters that a vote for reform is a vote really to get Keir Starmer in Downing Street, then those voters will start to peel away. So we thought, Sophie, we would put that to the test. We would ask that exact question of our panel. Now, listen here to Kelly from Yorkshire and Alison from Sussex as they talk about exactly that question, and ask yourself, are they going back to the Tories?
Some people might say that the reform vote is a protest vote, but for me, it isn't. It absolutely is.
Trustonomics, but they won't say it. It's the British state. They will close ranks because the future PM not decide. Okay, it's possible. It's possible. But then again, the Select Committee did drag Boris Johnson. You know, if he is referred to it, I wouldn't be surprised because you know they did drag the sitting PM through all of that stuff.
Legitimate vote. Zero net immigration is massive for me. So that's really, I would welcome that so much.
If voting reform...
Some people might say that the reform vote is a protest vote, but for me, it isn't. It absolutely...
He did make it inevitable, yeah, that's true. Down with that, sorry, that sort of thing. Is that... Yeah, that's it.
It's a legitimate vote. Zero net immigration is massive for me.
Why? I wish they asked why is she so obsessed with zero net migration? I'd actually be interested to know, because it's not based in economics. It must be based on social. Maybe maybe if we're going to be generous to do with the NHS, maybe she thinks that there's too many people here using the NHS or schools or whatever, or maybe she just doesn't like foreigners. I don't know. I'd love to ask her. I genuinely would.
So that's really I would welcome that so much.
If voting reform means that Labour becomes our next parliament, our next government, then I don't mind that, because I want the Conservatives to get a message that ordinary people like me aren't happy with the way they have run the country, especially in the last 10 years.
I find that last, what that woman said just then, really interesting. You know, it's not so much about who she wants to vote for, it's about giving the Conservatives a kicking.
Yeah, it's not about a competition between two prime ministers. It's about punishing the people that they don't like. Now, I wouldn't want to give viewers at home the impression that everybody in this panel is about to vote reform. Not at all. Of the 33 that we launched with, I think 9 were going to vote Labour and 5 were going to vote for...
And these are former Conservative voters
all former Conservative voters.
So you can see Labour eating into the reform vote, but also... Labour are eating in for Tory vote, but so are the Reform Party. I do wonder how many of these were kind of first-time Tory voters versus how many of them were long-term Tory voters as well. I don't know if they made their methodology public. I think they really should.
5 were going to vote for reform. But what is a real theme is just the strength of feeling, even if some of this lot absolutely loathe reform. So look at Joshua from Hartsmith.
I really don't like them pulling potentially middle-roaded Conservative MPs towards their way of thinking, and I think we risk being drawn into a more horrible state of politics. It's an unpleasant group of people with unpleasant ways of talking without a feeling that they have an idea of how to make things better. I would never vote for them.
More than anything else, Sophie.
So he seems like he's a centre-right kind of One Nation Tory, pushing his viewpoint.
Look at the strength of feeling of what Joshua said just then. There's no ambiguity in his mind. The messages from that party have cut through. He has decided he doesn't like it. Others have decided that they do. That great hope of Conservative headquarters that they'll somehow be able to educate people out of voting reform, well, I have a feeling from our voters panel that's going to be very hard.
That's really interesting, Sam. Thank you very much indeed.
And so this is kind of Richard Tice's response to this. There is more land used for golf courses and social housing in the UK because priority is true. Golf courses are important. How else are we going to find the next Tiger Woods?
That's the joy of democracy. People will have different views, and I respect what he says. He understands our messages. He's formed his view. But it's interesting hearing the other ladies on the panel there who actually said they understand the messaging, they like it, they're very concerned about what is going on.
I wonder if they knew what Reform's message was, or were they told this is what Reform's message is. Because again, like, apart from the stuff on immigration. I don't know what Reform's message is. Maybe I'm out of touch. I don't. Do the audience know? Do you know what? Let's do a poll. Let's ask. I'll ask you, the audience. Let's see. Can you name 3 Reform UK policies? If anyone calls me out for my spelling, I swear to God. No. Okay. Okay, there's a poll there. So let me know if you guys can actually name any.
And that's what we're saying. We're saying, and at the end, we agree. I think actually everybody agrees. The Tories have broken Britain. Our view is that Labour will bankrupt Britain, and it'll be left to Reform UK to save Britain, and that will be...
Bankrupt Britain? How? They're not even going to borrow any money. What are they going to do to bankrupt Britain? The only way they could do it is if they really struggle to grow the economy and we can't make our debt payments. How are they going to bankrupt Britain? It makes no sense.
The essence of the debate and the messaging as we head into the general election.
They don't know what he said, but they understand it and approve. It's the same thing as with, yes, the Brexlings. That's a good one. Saying, excuse me, they knew exactly what they thought. True. Looks like the screw your PR movement has already started. Why not say it's a fairer way to let everyone know they have what?
Whenever that is. And clearly Margaret and I will fundamentally disagree on the solutions, but what is clear...
This is what right-wing... This is what kind of populists, especially right-wing populists, do really well, is they will both agree that there is a problem, but they will give you a completely different solution. It means that their argument is slightly based in fact, but that's about it. This is something that obviously Donald Trump did a lot of. Nigel Farage did it in the Brexit referendum, and this is what Richard Tice will do. Is that we both agree the Tory party are a big problem because of these reasons, but I'm going to offer you these solutions, which are completely bogus. Snake oil. That's what populists are really good at.
Is that the Tories have broken Britain, and people, they understand that they must be punished for what they've done.
Let's see. And this is where Reform UK are at now. And you can see they're kind of inching towards 15. See, Aki's about 15%. They're at 14% now. I know Phil argues that Reform UK are not overpolled, like doing higher in the polls than they are in reality, which I don't know what he's basing that on, because again, if you're questioning YouGov's methodology for this bit, then kind of does bring their entire methodology, in my opinion, to doubt a little bit. But he's happy to always talk about the 20 points. Is it 20 points? No, it's higher than that, 26 points. So it doesn't fully make sense. But this will scare the Tory party, because look how close they are in the polling. And this is enough to kind of take away certain Tory seats and hand them off to Labour or the Lib Dems. That's the key here. It's not necessarily to increase your vote share. It's to hope your opponent's vote share falls off by the people staying at home or voting for a third party. And that's what Reform UK are looking to do. I think they're going to look at replacing the Conservative Party as the kind of main right-wing party in the UK. I think that's going to be their goal. The question is, how successful are they going to be, and how much funding are they going to get? Those are the key questions, in my opinion. And Sophie Ridge thinking that Farage is going to be a big player, I don't think so. I think he's going to be in the speech circuit in America. If you look at Reform UK now, especially as we are heading in towards an election year, Nigel Farage has been really quiet, whereas Richard Tice has been very vocal, and Tice is the face of the party.
But they all...
Reform perform better than the SNP or Greens, get no MPs. This is what they're there for. Racists need votes too. That is true. In Portsmouth, we voted out and even had a UKIP-controlled council. But last year, Reform only got under 1% of the vote in the local elections. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, were they running a lot? Were they actually campaigning hard? Or were they just there on paper?
Oh, good evening. Now, we don't often lead our programme with PMQs. It's been, frankly, a little bit sleepy recently, but not today. Today, it was fiery and furious, and you really got the sense these were two men, Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, who don't like each other very much at all. But really, this was a PMQs about three figures who weren't in the room: Liz Truss, Jeremy Corbyn, and Nigel Farage. They were effectively used as attack lines, terms of abuse, politicians on the extremist fringes. What's interesting, though, is that they're still being talked about. And one of them, Nigel Farage, could actually have a big impact on the next election as well, like it or not. I was fascinated to hear from our voters panel of people who backed the Conservatives in 2019 that the party they feel stands apart from the rest in terms of having a clear message is reform.
You know, again, that's more, I think, down to the Tory party failing. The Tory party failing and, what do you call it? What was I say? I think that's more down to the Tory party failing and Tice, to be honest with you, because Farage has been really quiet. The success of the Reform UK party is not down really to Nigel Farage, because Nigel Farage hasn't done a lot. He's barely said anything.
And I guess in some ways it's actually the same with all of the three mentioned at PMQs, Truss, Corbyn, Farage. They have a clear message. People know what they're about, even if you don't like it. It's harder for Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak. They can't just offer easy answers to tricky problems. They need real-life delivery. They need a fully costed manifesto.
I mean, this argument here is dumb because, like, yes, obviously the main parties do need it, but the other parties should as well, and the media should absolutely call them out when they come up with pie-in-the-sky policies like we're going to get rid of, we're going to do 0% net migration. It's like, okay, cool. This is the impact that these economists have said it's going to have on the economy. How do you respond to that? That's what should be happening. This idea that they can come up with nonsense. This is what the Brexiteers did. They come up with absolute nonsense, and they kept getting away with it because the Tory party kept letting them get away with it. So that's you know, I don't it's dumb. So like this is silly. Really, the argument of, you know, other parties can offer pie-in-the-sky solutions. Like, you should absolutely be holding them to account. Betting odds when the election will be called: October, December, 2-7, April, June, 7-2. Yeah, I don't get why certain people are pushing the idea that there's going to be a May election. Like, it's very odd, in my opinion, that they're so certain there's going to be a May election. I think it'll be in the autumn. The Jam Man's manifesto was very popular. The Man wasn't. Yeah, you know, I did see... I can't remember her name. She writes in the Tribune. She's an author. Can't remember her name, damn it. She also said that as well. Like, the policies were popular. It's just the man himself was not popular. The other problem was people just didn't think the manifesto was deliverable because there was a lot of promises in it. I think that was one of the things that tanked him in 2017 and 19. I don't think the promise of a second referendum went down too great either. But, you know, the fact remains Jeremy Corbyn as a politician was deeply unpopular. Whatever your views on that one, it's fine. But, like, you know, people really didn't like him. I remember I was getting my haircut and the lady was asking, what do I do? And this was back when I was at uni. I said, this is what my degree's in, blah, blah, blah. And she said, you know, I don't like that Jeremy Corbyn man. And she explained why. And I was just like, I had to bite my tongue a bit because I'm like, I really don't want it to mess up my haircut. But, yeah, no, she really didn't like him. And he was deeply unpopular. I think he was like -50 or something like that. His net approval rating was so bad. Let's see, fourth on the list, May, July to September. Yeah, I'm thinking autumn. I know an autumn election I think makes more sense. This is about the post office stuff.
The other big story in Westminster today has been the Post Office, with the Select Committee looking into what exactly is going on in the Post Office. And to be honest, you know, I always struggled to write an interview question on it because I was like, you know, there's so much going on. There's a he said, she said. The overwhelming impression is just of a complete shambles.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think if you were a sub-postmaster watching that today, you would not have been impressed. And as you say, the allegation, the counter-allegation, this wasn't good at all. I think the only way you'll cut through that cynicism is get on with the exonerations that the Prime Minister promised 6 weeks ago now. No sign of the legislation quite yet. Maybe make an announcement too quickly on that for the headlines rather than doing the detail. But if you get the exonerations right, that's how the compensation is unlocked. The two things are automatically connected to each other. That's why we've been working with the government on the right way to do that. But we've got to get on with it. But today, I didn't look good.
Yeah, this what the Tory party are doing is just the kind of performance around compensation is really bad. And there's more here, like they haven't allocated the resources, the people really to get this done.
We should say that as of December, £138 million has been paid to 2,700 claimants across the three redress schemes, according to
Post Office wasn't privatised. Royal Mail has been privatised.
Government data, including interim payments, including full payments. You have received this interim payment. Do you have any idea how long it might take to find out if the much larger sum that you've asked for is going to be granted or not?
Don't know. They haven't even said anything how long it's going to take, because at the moment there's not enough people looking at these claims to try and settle these claims. So they've got more people protecting their lines at the back for the post office than they've got people looking.
It's not. The post office hasn't been privatised.
Yeah, their claims.
Yeah, the post office scandal has been really bad, to be fair. To be a politician, all you need to do is swear an oath of loyalty to the lobbyists and donors. The Israel point is not strictly true.
We should say that as a...
So yeah, they haven't allocated enough people to do it. This is a person who spent 6 months in prison, and he hasn't received his compensation. Like he faced jail time over that. He went to prison over something that was well out of his control. And he should be compensated for it. Like, that's 6 months he'll never get back. Or the reputational damage he will never get back. It's so bad the government are doing this. But it's not a surprise to anyone. You had Badenoch Number 10 refusing to endorse Badenoch's claim that the former post office was the subject, former post office chairman was the subject of an investigation into bullying. Henry Staunton said that the primary subject of the investigation was Nick Reed. Asked if Badenoch was correct, Prime Minister's spokesperson said, "I'm not going to get into further commentary on HR matters." But, he's denying that this is the case. Henry Staunton, I think he's denied it. And you had Kemi Badenoch say in the House, "I should also inform the House that while Mr. Staunton was in post, a formal investigation was launched into allegations regarding his conduct, including serious matters such as bullying. Concerns were brought to my department's attention about Staunton's willingness to cooperate with that investigation." If that is the case, then surely this investigation should be made public, no? If there's HR violations against him. Radio is a bit better. I heard it covered over RT Radio. Okay. If Tony Connolly is not there, I will not be there. Them's the rules. I did want to cover this. I know Max covered it, but I found it pretty funny. Tory MP has the interview cut short because he can't answer basic questions.
Was it necessary for Lee Anderson to have the whip suspended? Where was the tolerance there?
Well, Nick, respectfully, I think what Lee said was wrong. Yes. And as a result of what he said, he had the whip removed from him. That's
but
robust
what was it
action.
Specifically that meant the whip had to go? We agree it was wrong, but why was it wrong?
Nick, it was wrong. What Lee
but why was
said,
it wrong?
What he said was wrong. As a result of what he said, the whip was removed from him. That was robust action.
No,
that
but
was
why
robust
was it
action
wrong?
that was
That's
taken.
what I'm trying to get at.
It was wrong, Nick, because of what he said, and robust
No, we're going
action was
round it,
taken
so
as a
you're
result.
well
It was
educated. Let's try this a different way. Was it Islamophobic?
What he said was wrong, and robust action was taken, and the whip was removed within 24 hours.
Minister, was it Islamophobic?
Nick, it was wrong.
Minister, I'm going to, and I'm normally a very polite man. I'm actually going to effectively put the fact. I'll ask you now.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. He's just like, can you answer the question, though?
The third time, I've asked you 6 times why it was necessary. For the third time, was it Islamophobic?
Nick, it was wrong.
I'll have to curtail the interview there. I'm grateful for your time, but enough already.
He said, "I'm gonna stop you right there." He said, "I'm gonna stop you right there, Nick," or whatever the guy's name is, Michael, because you're talking nonsense. Imagine being that bad that Nick Ferrari's like, "I'm sorry, but we're not gonna carry on with this."
Stinks, doesn't it?
Yeah, this guy absolutely garbage. This guy right here, Ferrari did well here. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. If you're doing an interview, the person doesn't answer you basic questions. You have the option to happen at the interview. I'd rather they go down this route, which, you know, Kay Burley actually does do a good job here. Not like Tory Nick told any ministers to account, wasn't high-ranking enough.
Okay. Is there
so
any
awkward phrasing
point
that.
in me even asking you whether Lee Anderson's comments were racist?
They were completely wrong.
Were they racist?
They were completely wrong. I think he should apologise, which he hasn't done yet, because...
Yeah, they're kind of stuck by this line. What he said was wrong, but that's it.
The way
they
he
won't say why.
characterised Sadiq Khan was unfair and inaccurate. I think public figures should seek to unite rather than divide communities. There is a lot to attack Sadiq Khan about. Right, his terrible record on crime being one thing. Knife crime's gone up in London. It's gone down in the rest of the country. His record on transport is terrible. The ULEZ is terrible.
Yeah, it looks like the Times are confirming that Jeremy Hunt will take the non-dom tax exemption, and he's looking to implement it, so it should be quite interesting.
Anderson said about him, I don't think was accurate, fair or appropriate.
Why is it that number 10 Downing Street doesn't want anybody representing them to come on television and say that his comments were racist?
Because they've made very clear, the Prime Minister has, I think, been asked about this, and he's obviously the government's principal spokesman. He's made very clear that what Lee Anderson said was wrong. I think it merits an apology. He conflated...
they were told, look, this is how you're going to react to the interview, just say it's wrong, and it's been dealt with, that's it.
Islamism, which is a form of extremism, with...
Reform are snapping at the heels of the Tories. I don't think the Tories can escape them, honestly. They're going to eat into their vote share, I think, and that's what's going to cost them a lot of seats.
Muslims as a whole, and in fact, very often, Muslims are the victims themselves of Islamist extremism. And he's withdrawn, and critically, the Prime Minister withdrew the whip, right? He withdrew the whip almost immediately. That is a contrast to the dithering which we saw from Keir Starmer when he had that incident in Rochdale, when it took him days and days and days.
He's not withdrawn the whip from Liz Truss, though. He's not withdrawn the whip from Liz Truss. Should he?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't think she's done anything wrong.
She didn't step in when the person on the stage with her said that Tommy Robinson was a hero.
Yeah, well, he's clearly not. But I don't think you can attack someone for a sin of omission. And we don't know what the circumstances of that were.
She also criticised the Conservative Party and supported other parties, which is also against the rules.
Well, I haven't heard that quote. I mean, she's a Conservative, and I'm sure she'll be campaigning as hard as the rest of us for a Conservative.
Would some Tory donors be? Yeah, I think they would be. I think some of the people who own like the newspapers, they are non-doms. So I think they would be. But I reckon, I said this in the video I kind of did on this. I think what they're going to do is they're going to do a non-dom tax thing in name only. So it's going to affect some of them, but not most of them. And there'll be a lot of loopholes and like exemptions, just like they did with the windfall tax. Do you remember when they said, "Oh yeah, we did the windfall tax," but then they made massive loopholes in it. That's what I think they're going to do.
Conservative government to stop the Labour Party, who have clearly got no plan whatsoever from winning the next election.
Sunak struggles to halt UK Tories drifting towards rival Badenoch. So it looks like number 10 is concerned by Kemi Badenoch, this according to Bloomberg. A cabinet mood. The government is finished. It's all about leadership now. I think the post office thing is going to sink her. I think the post office thing is going to sink her there. Anderson will be on Reform ticket next. I don't think he's going to join the Reform UK party. Another slimy Tory I can't stand. Yeah, he's a scumbag. But this from Sam Coates, which I think this is spot on from Coates.
So they're very happy to go with the W word,
Wrong.
but they won't take it any further than that.
The W word is wrong. That's the word, as in not saying she's wrong.
And I think viewers at home might be scratching their heads. Here is an incident where the prominent Tory backbencher is suspended for comments about Sadiq Khan, and yet on the interview with you this morning, they won't condemn it outright and won't call it racist. Why is that? Well, I think I've got a clue, Kay. That's because not everybody in the Tory party appears to be on board with this decision. I got some leaked WhatsApps last night from other Tories in the Red Wall. Let me read you some of them. They're from what's known as the 109 group. That's the group of Tory MPs elected in 2019 when Boris Johnson was Tory leader. One of them, in response to Nigel Farage's call for Lee Anderson to join the Reform Party and, quote, destroy the Tories, Conservative MP for Ipswich, Tom Hunt, writes, this isn't good at all. Hartlepool MP Jill Mortimer then shared messages from constituents saying that she would not vote Tory again and quoted Lee Anderson's suspension is the final nail in the party's coffin. Then Peter Gibson, the MP...
Oh, it's just people mocking Sam Coates and the reaction around it. Oh, it's so funny. It's just hilarious.
Darlington says the inbox is very positive for Lee.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I think the voters and the Tory base actually like this kind of stuff. They actually are. Some of them are quite Islamophobic, so it makes sense that they would actually be happy with the stuff he's saying. A lot of them probably don't like Sadiq Khan. So again, like that's one of the reasons why Sunak is struggling to condemn this stuff. That's why the Tories keep saying it's wrong, but won't say why, because they know it's going to annoy their base, and their base is dwindling.
In other words, the Prime Minister and his ministers are walking a tightrope. They've suspended Lee Anderson, but they can't go too far condemning him because of the backlash from his own side.
That's what I'm saying. And you think, you know, this would bolster people like Braverman, Truss, that are pushing this kind of stuff. So, you know, you can see why he's struggling to condemn it. But this is a monster of his own creation. He did all of this stuff.
Stinks, doesn't it?
This is the Tory base at the end of the day. This is the base they have cultivated through their policies. We're almost done with the stream, to be fair. It's gone fairly quick, I think. How long have we been streaming for? An hour, almost an hour, I think. Probably at 10 past to say it's an hour officially. But yeah, let's. This is about Stephen Flynn versus Parliament. Someone's messaged me on Discord. What is going on? Okay. No, someone's trying to be funny in the server. No, you can join my Discord server as well if you wish to. Yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, this is Stephen Flynn versus Lindsay Hoyle in Parliament.
What had happened was we were effectively offered an apology on Thursday and told, you know what, we'll give you a debate and a vote on what's called an SO24 motion the following week. So, you know, here we are. I put forward a motion today that would have sought to build upon the consensus that we had last week to then create a situation where we would be saying to the UK government that what they have to do in the United Nations is to back an immediate ceasefire. And that
so obviously the UK is not backing a ceasefire. We're not voting against the ceasefire at the Security Council. We're abstaining, and what the US is the one doing the vetoing. But obviously we would have to stop doing our abstentions, I think.
Meantime, we should stop selling arms to Israel. And the Speaker, not content with breaking the rules last week, now decided to break his word and decided that vote and that debate
no worries, Mithril. You're carrying the scene anyway, so I wouldn't be too concerned.
can't happen.
So you said last week he had lost your confidence, and you must feel that in spades. The big question is, what, if anything, can you do about it?
Well, indeed, I feel vindicated in my remarks with some people who suggested that I'd perhaps jumped the gun a little bit early in my condemnation of the actions of the Speaker of the House of Commons. But he's proven today, through the fact that he was not just willing to break the rules, but he's now broken his words, that he's not fit to stay in that role and to provide that democratic overview, an important position for all of us.
Yeah, he's right. You know, he should never have promised that vote if he was never gonna do it. Then he tried to argue around technicalities and all this other nonsense. You know, the SNP apparently said they're gonna disengage from Parliament, which is nonsense. That was debunked by Stephen Flynn. Fairly quickly. How quickly did that? He's saying that's not the case. Without 2 hours, he was like, no, that's not true. 87 motion, yeah, but I think they need a lot more than that. So yeah, you know, the idea that they're going to disengage is not true. You got Sky talking about Lindsay Hoyle rejecting an application from the SNP for an emergency debate over a ceasefire, despite promising the debate himself. I don't get what he was thinking, to be honest with you. He said the government is ready to make a relevant statement on the Tuesday, so there are opportunities for MPs to discuss the issue, even though he promised an emergency debate. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. What he was thinking. This is wild. This is so wild, and I think he's just bolstering the case for independence for the Scots, because they didn't ask for much, really. They asked for basically Parliament to function as normal, which was opposition day motion. They get an opposition day. They used it to try and pass a motion calling for a ceasefire. The government Labour put through an amendment, which they're allowed to do. But the government put through an amendment, which means the government's amendment gets priority and the Labour one gets chucked out. Then the government withdrew their amendment. Labour put through theirs, even though opposition day parties on opposition days, parties aren't meant to, other opposition parties aren't really meant to put through amendments. That's why they get opposition days. Thanks, Big Phil. Boom. Appreciate that. Appreciate the super chat. They put through the motion. Labour effectively trying to hijack it, and then the Speaker allowing both to go through, which breaks precedent. Like, if you're one of those people that doesn't care for precedent, that's fine. But then if it's the case that Lindsay Hoyle isn't going to grant the emergency debate because the MPs would have further chances to discuss the situation, makes no sense. If he's arguing about precedent and rules and all of this stuff, how can you on the one hand break precedent and then on the other hand say, oh well, rules and all this other nonsense? I don't get it. What he did was so dumb. And yeah, Roshan, you're right that Hoyle came out looking really bad at the situation. Labour too. Yeah, I mean the argument that Starmer or someone in Labour put pressure on Lindsay Hoyle, I absolutely buy into. I think that happened. The question is, how good are Nick Watt's sources? That's the question, and we don't know. We don't know how good his sources are, to be honest. But we know that he's one of the top people in media, I think, that has sources within the major parties. And I've seen Phil's arguments of, well, a senior Labour source could be John McDonnell, for example, which, okay, that is technically true, but at the same time, Nick Watt is not going to base his reporting on someone who was never there at the scene. That would make zero sense to do that as a journalist, especially one that works for the BBC. So you're really attacking the integrity of Nick Watt as a journalist at that point, which I'm a bit uncomfortable with, given his track record has been good. The two things I think you should judge journalists on are, one, how good is their track record, in terms of how good are they as a journalist, and two, who do they work for? Because you can have good journalists, good reporters working at trash organisations. From what I've seen, I think her name is Noah Hoffman. She works for The Sun, which is one of the most scummy newspapers out there, but she actually does decent work in the House of Parliament. Labour did not call for a ceasefire. They called for a humanitarian ceasefire. So once the aid was not needed, hostilities could continue. That is true. They did mention there were some opt-outs for Israel as well. And on top of that, they got rid of the bit on collective punishment as well. And that's one of the other reasons why the SNP were so mad. You can call for a ceasefire and say, once Israel has bombed all of Rafah, then the fighting stops. That was technically you calling for a ceasefire. So it's just spin. And for all of the Labour goons to be so giddy about this, it's just a bit embarrassing, to be honest. I was trying to piece it together. Was it last week it happened, or was it 2 weeks ago? I can't remember. I think it was last week. I was trying to piece it together what was going on, and it's a bit difficult to figure out because it's a little bit technocratic. Phil was so desperate to cover Starmer's backside. I'm surprised his arms aren't 8 foot long. He reaches so hard. I mean, that's I think that's a bit of a stretch. He's not great. I think most of his takes on Labour are not great, to be honest. A ceasefire as long as it was convenient to Netanyahu, which is true. That's what I think what Labour kind of pushing with their motion. I get there's condemnation. I think Phil argued there's condemnation of the settlements and things, not the settlements, of the settlers and things like that. But again, that's something Labour rarely criticised. They rarely mentioned the illegal settlements in the West Bank. And that's something they could mention at a later date, I think, anyways. Because that's not something that's going to stop. But the ceasefire is the most important thing right now. Is stopping the violence and getting as much aid in as possible. Because there are people dying of starvation. There are aid convoys being attacked by Israel. I think. Let's see if BBC have still got the news article up. Oh, where is it? Oh, they haven't got it up. It was on their Twitter where they fact checked some of the stuff Israel was saying regarding what happened, the attack on the the convoy that went through full of aid, and what's her face? No, sorry, it's proven that the IDF actually lied about it. I want to see if I can bring it up quickly. That'll be the last thing we discuss. Here it is. If I bring the article up. We'll go through one more, actually. This is the other thing. Starmer could face Privileges Committee investigation for pressuring Speaker in last week's ceasefire. The Privileges Committee can only start inquiries if an MP requests one through the Speaker, who decides the possibility with advice from his deputies. So it's very possible the Speaker could block it, but it would look very suspicious if the Speaker does that. That's going to be a problem. if the Speaker does block a select committee request from one of his MPs. See anything else? BBC headlining has been suspect. It has been very dodgy. I think it's been dodgy for the longest. He does not take advice from clerks. I mean, he can take the advice and then he can LeBron it into a 3-pointer. Top bin it effectively. So at least 112 Palestinians were killed as crowds rushed around lorries delivering desperately needed food aid in the small hours of Thursday morning, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Hundreds of people descended on the line of vehicles as it travelled in darkness northwards to try and get aid to people. BBC Verifies looked at the key information when it emerged and where from. We examined social media video, satellite imagery, and the BBC Verify team are quite good at this stuff, I think. Evening, beautiful souls. It's night time, to be fair. It's late. So they got footage from 11:30, which shows on the 28th. It shows some of the hundreds of people huddled around fires as they wait for the humanitarian aid shipment. The convoy approaches the encampment. So here, video shows casualties on the road. Aid convoy surrounded while travelling north. Military vehicles escorting the convoy. Israeli troops. So you got people surrounding the trucks. This is a screen grab from the infrared footage released by the IDF. But events further down the convoy. Motionless people on the ground. Aid lorries. Israeli military vehicles there. They show two sections of the video. Events show about 500 meters further south. Sorry, I'm struggling to read. They show at least 4 static lorries. Again, people can be seen moving around them. But this time it's also possible to see what happens to the motionless figures lying on the ground. The annotated screenshot of the IDF highlights these figures with red squares. It shows what appears to be Israeli vehicles nearby. BBC Verifies asked the IDF for the complete footage of the incident because I think it's these are just screenshots they put up. Yeah, I saw that. It's what Al Jazeera. So we examined exclusive Al Jazeera video footage close to that second location, and the Al Jazeera journalists deserve a lot of credit. It would be great if it actually worked that way. It has nothing to do with Hoyle being Speaker or former member of the Labour Friends of Israel, nor his deputy, a group his father founded. The IDF video was edited, yeah. I think the SNP. The SNP should put as many amendments on Labour opposition motion days as much as possible. They should keep doing it. Yeah, Labour objected to collective punishment. So yeah, BBC's examined the Al Jazeera footage. Volleys of gunfire can be heard and people seen scrambling over lorries and ducking behind vehicles. So it looks like what happened was people crowded the convoy. Potentially, people crowded the convoy. Israel opened fire on the people around the convoy, causing a stampede. And causing more deaths because they knew this kind of thing would happen. What else are people meant to do when there's gunfire? The whole world says no. Mahmoud Awadea said Israeli vehicles are starting firing at people when the aid arrives. So it looks like it's not even the case that maybe people just surrounded it. It might be the case that Israel purposely fired at people in order to cause a stampede. This is honestly nuts. They fired directly and prevented people to come near those killed. So not only did they shoot people, they shot the people trying to help the people who are the victims. The people saying they have verified further footage filmed where the shooting occurred of bodies being taken away on a cart north in the direction of Nablusi roundabout. There have been reports of casualties being taken to several hospitals. Dr. Mohammed Salah, interim hospital manager at the Al-Awda hospital, where many of the dead and injured were taken, told the BBC Al-Awda hospital received around 176 injured people. 142 of the cases were bullet injuries, the rest from the stampede. So the vast majority of these people that went to the hospitals nearby, at least this specific hospital, went there with wounds from gunshots. Which shows you that I think the Israeli military opened fire before anything else happened. The IDF stated early this morning entry of the humanitarian aid trucks into northern Gaza, and why the IDF are using lethal rounds doesn't make any sense on civilians. He says during the incident, dozens of Gazans were injured as a result of pushing and trampling. The IDF saying on Twitter the mob stormed the convoy, bringing it to a halt at some stage. The tanks were there to secure the convoy, see the Gazans trampled, and cautiously tries to disperse the mob with a few warning shots. Why would you use a tank to do any of this? Makes no sense. In a video, the IDF's Daniel Hagari claimed hundreds became thousands and things got out of hand. They said the tank command decided to retreat to avoid harming civilians. They were backing up securely, not shooting at the mob. I mean, this sounds like propaganda. An early interview with CNN, the Israeli Prime Minister's Special Advisor Mark Regev, who's their top propagandist, I think he's one of the top ones anyways, said Israel has not been involved directly in any way. It was not on the ground. So if they weren't on the ground, how were they there? How was the tank there? It doesn't make sense. He said the IDF had opened fire in a separate incident not related to the lorries, but did not provide further evidence. It's complete garbage. It's complete garbage, honestly. Leaders around the world have demanded an investigation to what happened. I mean, it looks like they caused this whole stampede to happen. They caused the whole stampede to happen. His argument of we weren't there in the first place is insanity, absolute insanity. It's just wow. And if you look at the distance some of these people are from the convoy down here, right? How would they have died in the stampede? Because the convoy is probably these two here, right? That maybe these are the 8 trucks. How would they have fallen so far from the stampede? It doesn't make sense. Especially this one over here. How has this person died or been? It doesn't make sense. Honestly, these two here as well. It doesn't make any sense. Let's be honest. The IDF are really bad at propaganda, but they keep getting away with it because the politicians keep protecting them. That's the main problem. The politicians keep defending them. And the idea, that guy Regev saying Israeli forces were not there, if they were firing at a separate incident, they're literally there. You can see them. They're not. That doesn't look that far. That does not look that far at all. It's just madness, honestly. I think that's it for topics. I don't think I've got much more to say on any of this stuff. But yeah, just the end of the poll, I guess, which is, can you name 3 Reform UK policies? 17% of you said yes, you can, and I want to know what 3. If you're part of these 17% of people, right? You got the next couple of minutes. Please explain to me please name the 3 Reform UK policies. Okay, I will give you one for free. I will give you the zero net migration policy. I will give you that for free, right? What are the other 2? Dumb, dumber, and dumberer. No, that's not. These aren't policies. These aren't policies. I want to see policies. You got literally about the next minute or 2. I'm gonna to please explain. To please tell me two policies. That's all I'm asking for. 2 policies. I'll go on Twitter quickly to see if there's anything else worth covering. You got a minute or 2. Please give me 2 policies. Let's see. Can you name any? Privatise the NHS is just a guess. Well, I think he wants to allow more private organisations into the NHS. Technically, I don't think that's their official policy. I'm not going to give you that one. More cops. Okay, do you know what we'll do? Let's have a look. Let's find it. Reform. Let's see. Let's have a look. Let's see what we can find it. Policies, right? Let's see if the audience have got it. Deny. Starmageddon. That is such a cool picture. You've actually made him look so cool in this picture. A Starmageddon. That sounds dope. This is not how you do an attack poster. This ain't it. Let's see. Lower taxes. Oops. I don't want to open a PDF. Got lower taxes, zero net migration, zero waiting lists, cheaper energy. So if you guess these, then you'd be correct. Let's see. Draft. I love that. He's got draft on his own website. Is there any policies here? The answer is we will stand on for British values, identity. I mean, anyone could say that. I could say I stand for British values and blah, blah, blah. I'll contract with you. Let's see. Here we go. Oh my God, there's so much here. Save £5 in. This is so much. Let's go back to the homepage. This is it. Bruh, this is okay. Reform our economy. Reform of the public sector. So let's see, ambitious, blah blah blah. Public sector. Is there anything about privatisation here? Schools, prepare them for competitive. Nothing about privatisation in there. Reform the energy sector. Our own energy treasure. What does that? Our plan will use our own energy treasure. Okay, under our feet, create thousands of. There you go. There's fracking. There you go. He's saying our plan will use our own energy under our feet. That's fracking. So there you go, Roshan. You're right about that one. They stand on British values. How could anyone else stop them? That's true. British values OP. Major changes is needed. This is filler. Why is this? Who makes this stuff? Why is this all the way over here? Print it like a book. I'm on a PC. It's a PDF. Come on, guys. Let's make gritting great again. So a Lumbuk. That's their thing. Lumbuk. That's their slogan. Reform our economy. I'm not seeing much in terms of policies here, guys. See, let's see, stimulus plan. Free up 6 million people from paying income tax by lifting the minimum threshold to 20,000 from 12,000. Okay, so that will stimulate the economy a bit, but you're also gonna have a massive black hole in your in tax receipts. Let's see. The less well-off will benefit proportionally in saving £1,500 per annum, at £20,000 per year salary. So, I mean, okay. But at the same time, you're going to have a massive black hole in your tax bill. Free up 1.2 million SMEs from paying corporation tax by lifting the minimum threshold to £100,000. So if you don't make if your company doesn't make £100,000, you won't pay any corporation tax. Okay. Reduce the cost of living by lowering consumer taxes. Scrap VAT on energy bills, saves £100 per year. I mean, that's true, but, is that saving going to be passed on to the consumer? Probably not. Scrap environmental levies, which again, okay, less green energy. Lower fuel duty, which again, these are all fine. These all stimulate the economy to an extent, but also, like, how are you going to pay for any of this stuff? Get Farage a deck chair and a new Fisher-Price binoculars to... Yeah, that is true. Let's see, reduce government waste. How are you going to achieve that? I don't know. So they're going to try and save £50 billion by reducing government waste, but that's not going to be an ongoing thing. That'll be a one-time saving, really, I think. Enable over 1 million out of work, out of the 5 million out of work, benefits back to jobs. How are you going to get them back into work? What? Enable the 1 million? What are you going to do to get them back into work? I love how they say a return to just the 2019 levels is imminently realistic. Okay, how are you going to do this? How are you going to achieve this one? Tax the renewable energy industry the full amount of the 11 billion in subsidies. Okay, less green energy, great, that's good stuff. Love to see it. Unnecessary regulations that hinder growth. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Reduce the main corporation tax rate from 25 to 20%. So not only are they going to take the vast majority of companies out of the threshold for corporation tax, they're also going to lower corporation tax. Great. Reduce and simplify residential stamp duty. Abolish the burdensome apprenticeship levy, which ironically reduced the apprenticeship numbers. What is the apprenticeship levy? What's this? I just realised I can't. You'll be paying 0.5% of your salary bill into the levy. What is the apprenticeship levy? It's a small tax on UK employers, right? Okay, it's a bit not really support. I think it sounds like a dumb policy. So foreigners out and less tax for rich folks. Got it? Yep. Abolish business rates for small and medium firms. We mentioned that. Offset with a delivery tax at 3%, which create a fairer playing field. Okay, that's not the worst policy in the world, because it's about making brick and mortar stores more competitive with like online businesses. Abolish stamp duty on share trading. This will help savers and enable the city to compete globally. So less taxes on people that make their money through capital gains, through stocks and shares. Abolish inheritance tax of all assets under 2 million. I mean, I thought the inheritance tax only affects like big properties and stuff like that, like things that are worth over of like a couple 100,000. Let's see. Abolish the burdensome IR35 rules introduced by the Conservatives. Yeah, that's the deal with like people who are quote self-employed but are not really self-employed. Reform UK will save £100 billion of taxpayer money to pay for these lower taxes. I mean, this seems like Trussonomics. Let's see how they're gonna get waiting lists to zero. This will be the last one we go through, I think. Let's see. We should aim for zero waiting lists. This is achievable with reform. I mean, to be fair, if you stop everyone using the NHS, that means you get the waiting list to zero. We must put the patient in charge by having a voucher scheme so they can be seen and treated properly. What the hell? What would a voucher scheme even do? What's this about a voucher scheme? I don't get it. Healthcare will always, of course, remain free at the point of delivery. If you cannot be seen by a GP in 3 days, you can get a voucher to go private elsewhere. Okay. But after 3 days, if you can't see GP, generally you're either better or you probably might have to go to the hospital. If you cannot be seen by a consultant in 3 weeks, you'll get a voucher to go private elsewhere. If you cannot have an operation in 9 weeks from day one, you will get a voucher to go private elsewhere. But surely, if you invest more in the NHS, you wouldn't need to go private. Like, and the pool of private care is it's the same. It's generally the same healthcare workers. This doesn't make sense. And again, that's not going to get the waiting list to zero. You got the waiting list to 9 weeks then at that point. That makes no sense. The goal can be to get to zero, but these goals will not get you to zero. Yeah, privatise, yeah. Roshin was right. Nobody's going to be sick when reform get into power. That's true. That's true. They're going to stop all illnesses. I see. Only 4% are affected. Okay. It makes sense why Title wouldn't get rid of it then. So, a staffing crisis. Our healthcare plan reduces zero basic income tax for 3 years of all frontline patients facing staff in health. I mean, giving them tax exemptions, I mean, sure, but just pay them more. This should mean zero waiting lists in around 12 months. So their plan, right, to achieve this, okay, hear me out, people. Hear me out, okay? Hear me out on this one, right? This is genius. So their plan to get waiting lists to zero is to put 0% income tax for 3 years on all frontline patient-facing staff. This will significantly help retrain and attract back recently departed staff while we train new staff as well. So nothing on equipment, nothing on more hospitals. All they're going to do is try and increase staffing numbers. This should be zero waiting list in around 24 months. But man, we don't have enough beds. We don't, in 24 months, it takes 3 years to train a nurse. 3, that's just a nurse. 3. What? How are you going to get it down to 24? Get it down within 24 months? What? Wow. This is insanity. This paragraph here is actual insanity. You know when Ridge was talking about how parties can offer pie in the sky solutions. They can only offer pie in the sky solutions when you let them. This is it. No, you can't. This will not work. This will not work. It takes 3 years to train a nurse. Yeah, if you can get back the ones we've lost, that's great. That's not going to fill the shortage. Because the shortage is that bad. These guys are nuts. Do you know, close to the election, we'll do a manifesto review, all the major parties, right? We'll be reviewing their main policies and their format and stuff, because this is dumb. Why am I scrolling left to right like this? I don't know. But their main policy, this is their main card: lower taxes, net zero immigration, zero waiting lists, and cheaper energy. That's their main plan. Starmageddon. I mean, to be fair, that is a poster-worthy picture right there. Healthcare and social recovery plan. I don't know, but yeah, this is garbage. It's like a 6-year-old saying, "I'm gonna be an astronaut." I mean, I think a 6-year-old has a bigger chance of being an astronaut than this manifesto has of actually working. Why is it why not just do a separate page? Just make a why is it opening PDFs? What year is this? 2005. Is there any actual policies here? Let's see. Bold proposal. Train more staff. Retain existing staff. Must attract former trained staff. More money. Nothing to do with equipment. the cost, the funding, reorganise all bank £850 billion of the Bank of England's quantitative easing debt sitting on its computer into the 75-year Corona bonds, fixed interest at two. What's this? Not even English. What the hell is? What does this even mean? Most of the target group is over 70. That is true. That is so true. This isn't even English at this point. Chancellor and Governor have a simple choice. Do you unnecessarily enrich city banks and institutions for the QE money printed by the Bank of England, or do you play your major role to resolve our national health emergency at no cost to the taxpayer? I mean, what does this savings from... I genuinely, right, can someone actually translate this into English for me? Stop paying interest on Bank of England to commercial banks on reserves of quantitative easing programs. What does this mean? Oh, it's going to give me a headache. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I'll probably be on Discord in a bit. Actually, let me post the link to the Discord server. Where is it? Yeah, I'll post a link in the Discord server if anyone wants to join. Why is there no paste button? Oh, there we go. Let's see, I just want to see having Reform candidates in every seat. I'm grabbing popcorn. Yes, I'll be enjoying that as well. I will try and do some election coverage closer to the time. I think it depends on work and stuff like that. But yeah, I will be trying to cover the election. I'll probably book that week off and do just a lot of coverage. And just really hammer out the live streams, honestly. But I'm gonna go get a drink. I'll probably be on Discord at 10 if you guys want to join, and we can talk a little bit. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. If you watch this back later, like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in 2 weeks. Bye bye. Not 2 weeks, sorry, 3 weeks. Yeah, I'll catch you guys in 3 weeks. The 23rd, I'll be back on. All right, bye.